Welcome back to the Intercourse Show. I'm your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. We are discussing relationships, and of course, we go to the godfather of uh, relationships, online dating, relationship advice. Our boy Kevin Samuels. Rest in peace to the late great Godfather. Apparently, in this episode, he discusses trophy wives with a 39-year-old modern woman who challenges him on that topic. So, I haven't seen this before, so let's go ahead and I'll react to it accordingly.
Trina,
Hi, Kevin.
hi, how are you?
I'm great. I'm
Wh-
calling from Texas. I'm 39 and I have a son. He's one. I was married for 5 years. Okay. So the reason why I'm calling is because it seems like what you're describing are men who basically are in pursuit of their trophy wife, which is fine. But I've worked with many men who makes a lot of money, but a lot of them are unhappy from what I see and what I've been told with conversations with them. And my question to you is, are you accounting for character, a person's intellect,
Nope, nope,
what they bring to the table? And that's important because
nope, no,
beauty
no, no.
fades.
Listen. Hold on. I'll let you go. And that's not what I focus on, man. I also don't account. This is not a one-stop shop. I deal with what I deal with. And first off, you said your stats. And you said what it sounds like is men are looking for their trophy wife. Yes, a man's wife is his trophy. And men want to be proud of their wives.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm
Let
not
me
saying that in
finish.
a negative way.
Well, yes, but see, a trophy wife, let's not play games. A trophy wife is not a positive connotation. It's kind of it's a slight diss, as if
No, no, it's not because I
okay,
want to
well,
be
I
somebody's
don't know many people that say trophy wife and mean it in a positive way.
okay, well, Kevin, I didn't mean it as an insult to a man who sees his wife as a trophy. I see that as a man putting his woman on a pedestal. So maybe I
Well,
should have
first,
said that instead.
no, we don't mean putting your wife on the pedestal is a mistake. But at the end of the day, man, you made a bunch of logical jump. A lot uh, men want their. I'm talking to men that want their trophy wife. No, men want a good deal. Number one, number two, I work around a lot of men who make money and they're not happy. That's your anecdotal experience. I'm not going to argue that. But should men who have worked to put themselves in the top 10% of men, top 5% of men, top 3%, top 1% of men, should those men be able to get what they want from a woman?
Absolutely. And I don't
All
have a
right then.
problem.
All right then.
Okay,
And
but
I'm
this,
telling you what they want. I'm telling you what these men are my clients, these men are my colleagues, and I've been around these men most of my adult life, and I'm telling you what they want.
okay, okay. Can I let me interject? Okay, I understand that, and that's fine. I'm all for people getting what they want. Okay, if that's what they want to marry, but how many of them actually stay or remain married and
I
not
don't so again,
divorce?
again, why it again, that is not the conversation. You're moving the goalpost. I don't do that here. Because I can go down many different lanes with that and it doesn't mean anything. We're talking about baby mamas and high value men. What do you got on that?
Okay, my thing is if that okay for me, I feel like if that person brings something to the table, she's not asking for you to be a stepfather because like for me, my son has a father. I'm
I'm
looking for
sorry, man. I'm
companionship.
sorry, ma'am. If you married a man, he'd be stepfather.
Okay, again,
That's
like I
what he
said,
would be. That's what he would be.
okay, again, I will have my son respect if I get remarried. I will have him respect the man that I remarried. However, my son has a father.
I
What I'm
didn't. It's not.
saying is,
Go ahead. I don't understand.
what I'm saying is, for me, I'm looking for companionship. I don't bring men around my son, first of all, because that's not how that's gonna go. But what I'm saying is, I'm looking for companionship, and I have to
Well,
find.
then, okay, let me ask you a question then, ma'am, because are we
Now let
talking
me
about?
finish what I was saying. But go
Well,
ahead.
I got to get to my show because people tend to get long-winded on points that mean nothing to the show. Are we talking about you, or are we talking about women in general?
I'm talking about women in general,
Well,
and
then
I'm
you
talking
said,
about
well,
myself
but see, that's the thing. We're gonna talk about either women
because
or
I'm
you.
part of what you're talking about. I'm a single one.
A real estate agent I know just had her biggest year in 20 years. Now, she didn't cold call. She didn't start.
You need to understand how this works over here. You don't talk over me. You don't get loud with me. We're gonna have the conversation the way I'm gonna have it, or I'll bid you a good day. Can unmute yourself.
Okay, go ahead and finish what you're saying, and then I'll answer.
Did you hear what I said?
What part?
The last part I said. What did you last
said-
hear?
You said we're gonna have a conversation the way I want, or I'm gonna bid you a farewell. I heard that part.
Thank you.
You're
Because
welcome.
you're all over the place, and I'm trying to understand, ma'am. This is about, do single mothers deserve high value men? Are you, and you're having a dual track conversation. So when I respond to one point, you'll spin to another. I don't do that. We stay on a track. Are we going to talk about you, or are we going to talk about women in general?
We can talk about women in general, but I am part of the general what you're talking about, because I think that statistic what you're bringing out in your show.
We're talking about women in general.
Okay.
Why do you believe high value men want to make their own families, or do they want to start their own?
Honestly, I understand someone who
Do you think high value men want their own families, or
they want their own family, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So
However,
if that's the case, marrying a woman with children is already a pre-made family. They wouldn't be getting what they want. See, ladies, I don't, no matter how you try to spin this, no matter how much of an emotional argument you want to make, it comes back to the same thing. If you got a child, for marriage or not, if you're not in the marriage, a high value man is still going to look and see where that child's coming from. He's going to look at the husband or the baby daddy and say, is he high value? If not, psh. Ladies, you can't be older with children and keeping your price as high as you did, higher than when you were young. There's no amount of arguing or debating that's going to change certain realities.
I have a problem to a certain degree. I don't have a problem with, finding men, but the problem I have majorly is keeping them. And one of the reasons why is each time I tell them that I'm, saving myself for marriage, it's almost always a turn off.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
Is this for religious reasons?
Yes, it is. But more so, I think,
okay,
sex is a really spiritual thing for me. Okay. So I'm very careful.
No, okay. But are you working? Are you actively working with your father and or pastor in finding a mate?
I don't really understand the question.
Okay, if you're a virgin and you want to save yourself to marriage because of a spiritual reason, whose headship are you sitting under to put you in front of the right kind of male candidates to facilitate marriage?
Well, my pastor is usually involved in this.
Okay.
But the problem
do they have a singles ministry where they're bringing in Christian marriage relationship minded men to meet with the women?
Yes. I actually met one person there, but it was really just a show because he was all talk and no action.
Well, okay. But the thing is, okay, but here's the thing. What I'm ultimately getting to is you can't go into the open dating market This
Mhm.
won't fly.
Right.
So either you're going to have to be dealing with an infrastructure that puts virgin women and virgin men or low body count men who want to have an arranged marriage of sorts,
Right.
or you go to a matchmaker, pay lots of money to find people like that on the open market
Right.
and get an opportunity to get to know them. But at the end of the day, it's still going to come down to what I ultimately say. You'll get respect and marriage before you get love.
Mm.
Because you can try this, but to try to find romantic eros love as a virgin in today's modern dating environment,
Yeah.
no thank you. Is this but are you, and I'm not trying to get you to change it, but if this is a hard requirement, where's your dad?
Where my dad, he lives here in America. Yeah, he's in the picture. My parents have been married for almost 26 years now.
Okay. Well, see, the thing is, at 24, there need to be men helping you be in front of the right kind of men, because here's the thing. You can't be involved with anybody. You can't be involved with Reginald for a year or two. Y'all need to meet, decide y'all like one another, run each other's background credit report, meet each other's family, get on out of here by in 6 months or gone. Because you can't just be, you're a different case. And especially for religious reasons, there needs to be a structure around you, because what ultimately I'm saying is you can't do it by yourself. And you're running against time.
Right.
Time, because the longer you wait, the more likely it is that guys that are age appropriate are going to already, that's as much as I'll go down.
Yeah, I guess just one more question. Would you advise for me to go for older men? Because I feel like older men are ready to settle down over the younger ones.
I think in general that would be a better bet. I think it's better for women to deal with older men because of the way the economy is now, and especially, do you want to be a stay-at-home wife or that kind of thing?
I wouldn't mind that. I think family is the most important thing.
How many children do you want?
3 is fine.
Okay, well, then the men who are making the kind of money you would like for your husband to make are not in your 20s.
Here's how we took our client Jared from just getting a few thousand views a month on social media to being literally the most followed.
So if you would do my gut tells me you do better trying to find a man in his late 30s who'd be willing to, who would see the value in marrying a virgin versus trying to deal with a guy in his 20s. That's just a lot going on.
Right.
Best of luck though. Somebody will be happy to find you, but you have to take it outside of you. You need help.
Yeah. All right. I figured that. Thank you so much.
That's not an insult though. All right. So we got to get to this thing later on this week. We got to discuss why single mothers, baby mamas, as it were, have such a hard time accepting their value on the market. That's Wednesday. Baby mamas, single mothers, understand something. Here's the takeaway. Ladies, did you raise your child? Are you raising your child to be an asset to another man who's not their father? For one. Number two, it seems to be single mothers seem to have a really hard time understanding that having a child lowers your value, in many cases, substantially. But we got to talk about it, because I'm giving you time to get your anger and attitude out of the way and get to the conversation. You got 2 days to have your jaw tight, 24 hours. Wednesday, we come back, because we got to talk about this, because the majority of Black men are single and childless. But I want to say, and I got to look up the number, but I want to say the majority of women have kids. If you look for employed men and women, and if you look for childless, there are more employed childless men in the Black community, fully employed men, than employed childless women. Ladies, having a child outside of wedlock for whatever reason impacts your value to another man for long-term relationship, wife kind of thing. I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about long-term. And there are women who will have you look and say, well, this happened over here, that happened over here. You need to listen to the men. Ladies, you need to listen to the men, not the women who are telling you, well, you made a mistake. You love your child. I know how it sounds. But men, especially the higher up you go socioeconomically, men want to create their own legacy, build their own family from scratch. We got to talk about this disconnect and see what can be done to help women who find themselves in this position to right fit themselves or better fit themselves to get the outcome or get an outcome that they want or can live with. Because right now, I'm seeing just all out foolishness, basically telling women what they want to hear. And the men are sitting back like, you can't make men, you cannot make a consumer buy a product. So I don't care what the sales trainer is telling you. You can't make a consumer buy a product just because the sales trainer is telling you, buy my book and my course and my this and my that. The consumer can still say, I don't want that.
This conversation starts off with a strong assumption. She's 39, divorced, a single mother, and she believes Kevin's relationship advice mainly caters to wealthy men looking for trophy wives. In her mind, these men prioritize beauty over intelligence, and she argues that many of them end up unhappy because those relationships lack depth. And Kevin immediately steps in to challenge the stereotype because he points out that attraction and intelligence are not automatically opposites. The idea that a woman can either be beautiful or intelligent, but not both, is already a flawed starting point. And that's where the tension builds. She keeps framing successful men as shallow, almost as if wanting attractiveness automatically means they don't value substance. But Kevin redirects the conversation toward compatibility and preferences. Because different men prioritize different things, then the conversation gets deeper. Kevin explains that many high-earning men are not necessarily searching for a perfect model with no personality. They're often looking for peace, cooperation, attraction, compatibility, and support in addition to intelligence. And that's the shift from stereotype to nuance, because she's reducing an entire category of relationships down to one negative image, while Kevin keeps emphasizing that successful relationships are usually more layered than that. Then another reality check lands. Kevin points out that intelligence alone also doesn't guarantee relationship success. Plenty of highly educated or accomplished people still struggle with connection, communication, compromise, and long-term partnership.
But there you have it. That was the video. Shout out to my man at Mental Groove for putting the video together and also for his analysis on what's actually happening. I would actually agree with some of the points that was raised here. I think it's absolutely true that, being educated doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to have compatibility in your relationships. Being educated or book smart or having degrees doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's going to make you more appealing to your partner or that's going to help you relate to your partner any more than a person who's not. I think it's just a willingness to compromise and work with a person. Now, there's a common theme that you'll have. It typically is older women who I wouldn't say hit the wall, but I think they're at a midlife crisis point of their life where the facts are hard to ignore, right? You're dating people, and for whatever reason, you can't find someone to stay with you long enough or to make the full wholehearted commitment of marriage. And I think that has a lot to do with what you're putting out there when you are in relationship and when you are dealing with people. Typically, men want the easy, most peaceful option necessary. You know, that's something that's common. And what I think Kevin Samuels is pointing out is that most modern women don't necessarily make themselves an appealing option for women, especially when they're coming into the situation with baggage from, you know, years of failed relationships, sometimes with multiple children, from multiple men, and really with a mindset that is not conducive for peace, right? A mindset that's constantly combative, a mindset that is constantly challenging or constantly, hindering the relationship from growing into something that man regards as something that he should dwell in. And I think when we are not mindful of these things, and that's on both sides, men and women, when we're not mindful of how we're being portrayed by, how we're being perceived by our partner, but also what kind of image are we portraying to each other, it's hard for us to understand what our deception, right? For most women who take issue with finding the right man, as they will call it, or a high value man, right? They don't understand how they're being perceived by the men they want. They don't understand the things that matter to those men. They don't understand the things that those men require. And so coming in with education and, you know what I mean? Maybe they're seasoned, maybe they're freaks. You don't know what it is. Maybe they're, seasoned in the bedroom or whatever the case. They think those are their calling card, or those are the things that qualifies them for those men. And while they talk about these things, they're actually putting on display the thing that the men don't actually want, right? Men want soft-spoken, feminine women, and oftentimes that's not what you get. You know what I mean? With a lot of modern women, they tend to be outspoken. They tend to want to assert their will in the relationship. They want to lead and guide the relationship, and they expect the men not to, challenge them when that's the case. And sometimes you see that the expectations are out of whack, and oftentimes it comes to a head, especially with a man who's accustomed to taking charge and who wants to, curate the environment that his home has. So that's where I think there's a disconnect. And unfortunately, I don't know that it's fully the women's fault. I think a lot of times that's what they've seen modeled to them by their mothers and their models of womanhood, right? So I think why Kevin Samuels' show is important is because it highlights the fact that you need to sometimes get an external opinion. You need to tap into advice, not from other women seeking the same thing you're seeking, but advice from people who've been married, advice from men to hear their side of the story, to see what are they thinking, feeling, how are they approaching dating, what are they expecting, what do they desire, you know what I mean? And if you're not hearing it, then you won't know where you need to make the tweaks in yourself to appeal to what they're doing. It's no different than a peer-to-peer review or mid-year review that you would have with a manager. You're seeking a promotion, you want more money at the end of the year, you want a bonus, and you have a mid-year review to tell you whether or not you're on track with what it is you say you want, whether or not you're meeting the expectations of the job, and whether or not they're pleased with you, and if there are things that need to be worked on, how to do it. And it takes a person with a lot of resolve and with a humble heart to be able to say, okay, this is what I thought I was doing that made me valuable in this particular area to be considered for this promotion. But if the feedback that I'm getting doesn't reflect that, then I need to change things up some. I need to shift my focus. I need to adjust some things so that the person or the employer can see the value that I actually bring and why I would be a suitable partner, a suitable mate. And so the question of whether or not it's there's an ideal trophy wife and whether or not it's realistic for those men because they end up being miserable in those relationships anyway. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. I think there's always an adjustment because people evolve, they change, they grow. The two people in the relationship have to be willing to adapt to each other's changes and work through problems. That's why problem solving skills matter, not constantly running away from the relationship because it's meant to build you up. It's meant to help you. So, those are skills that, people need to develop in relationship and they don't always develop. So I would definitely, encourage people who are maybe in the later stages of their life just to analyze themselves and to ask themselves, like, what things can I tweak? What is it that I think I bring to the table that actually is valued by a man? And if so, what can I work on to be better? If you're a woman that don't cook and you want a man who would like his wife to cook, learn to cook. What do you lose? It's no different than, getting a skill set or getting a certification at work. There's a skill you need, you don't have it. All you do is you take courses, you complete the course, you get the certification, and now it puts you in a category where you qualify for more pay. Do that in your relationships. Like, this is a learning experience. Same thing. That's why therapy is useful, because a lot of times people aren't tapped in to how to manage their feelings and to what another person's feeling. And you got to hear it from a third party to understand, how to identify it yourself so you can be a better communicator and a better person for people to deal with. It's just a desire to better yourself for the sake of your relationship, so that hopefully, you find a partner that's willing to stick around. Well, that's my thoughts. Of course, I welcome all my viewers to weigh in on every conversation that we have, but it's harder to do that if you're not connected to the platform. So I definitely ask that you like and subscribe and you stay connected. By clicking the subscribe button, you get notified when a new video comes out, and it also gives you an opportunity to weigh in. So feel free to, tap into the comments section. It's been a little while since I did a live video, so I thought it'd be important. I want to start incorporating having some interaction with my viewers, those who tap into the conversation. So definitely feel free to comment as we do the video. It's always good to get a female perspective on the conversation as we have it. So definitely welcome that. But up until we speak again, it is late here on the East Coast. I do wish you all the best and stay blessed till we speak again. All right, guys. God bless.